Welcome in, Minnesota sports fans, to another edition of the Bring Me the Sports YouTube channel. Jonathan Harrison here alongside Tony Liebert, Will Raggets, and Joe Nelson. Guys, the task we set out for you today is create and come up with 2 or 3 bold Vikings predictions, and they can be anything. Surprise us all. So, Will, I'll let you start off since you're out at TCO Performance Center right now. Let's hear your first one.
All right, there was a lot of ways that I thought about going with this, but I'm going to start with a guy who has just caught my eye a bunch watching practice, and that's Aaron Jones. And my bold prediction is that Aaron Jones is going to have the highest scrimmage yards total of his career this season in Minnesota. And that would be a lot because he had about 1550 in 2019 with the Green Bay Packers. And he's a 29-year-old running back. There's going to be some Ty Chandler involvement in the backfield. But I just think if he can stay healthy for 17 games, that's going to be the huge thing for reaching this prediction here, that he can get 17, 18, 20 touches a game and really put up big numbers for the Vikings, who are going to lean on the run to try to help out Sam Darnold. And Darnold's also going to be throwing him the ball a lot. So that's where I'm starting. Aaron Jones, I think, has a big season with Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings.
You can do it!
Well, that's something that certainly happened. Joe, Joe, you got a follow up, or you got your own bold prediction?
I like
here?
the Aaron Jones prediction. I don't have much to add to that. I mean, it really does make sense that he could have a pretty big year in a role in this offense. I mean, there's less pressure on him because there's so much talent on the outside, which obviously Green Bay never added many wide receivers, so should open things up for Aaron Jones. I like that, Will, quite a bit. For me, I'm going to go with a big one here. I think the Vikings, in a bold prediction, can win 12 games or more. This is crazy, yes, I know, but hear me out. And be a top.
This is on par for you, Joe, though. So.
Yes, I'm an eternal optimist, but I might sway you in the other way with another bold prediction later on. But win 12 games, be a top 3 seed in the NFC, and I'm really leaning on this Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold train, and here's why. Just because it's convenient. But on top of that, some actual data. Geno Smith had his breakout year in 2022 when he looked like he was washed. Went for 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He was throwing the ball to DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Noah Fant. He had a pass rush the 20th ranked pass blocking team per Pro Football Focus's rankings that season. Their defense in Seattle was 17th. Their pass rush is 27th, and their coverage is 20th. They went 9-8, snuck into the playoffs, and got blown out by the Niners on Wild Card Weekend. He was throwing the ball, like I said, to 3 pretty good targets, but those targets are nowhere near, in my opinion, as good as Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson. Yeah, we got some health questions with the last 2, but they should be healthy in due time, and that should give Darnold 3 really good options, and then Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler, like Will mentioned. Minnesota's offensive line last year, number 2 pass blocking team in the league per PFF. It's going to be better than what Geno Smith had when he completed nearly 70% of his passes in 2022. Darnold's an efficient quarterback when he's protected. We all know this. When he's not protected, he has a lot of problems. So I really believe that Darnold can have a Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield-like season, but maybe even better than what they had, and that would be saying something. Because if Baker goes, if Darnold goes for 30-10, that's insane. We're sitting there on the cusp of like, holy crap, is this an MVP type of season? Is this a Pro Bowl type of season? It's possible, and this is a bold prediction for that very reason. And then on top of that, the defense, by all accounts, has looked amazing in joint practices and training camp and preseason. If they can carry that over under Brian Flores, which they might be able to do, this could easily be a double-digit win football team despite the difficult schedule.
Boys, are you not fired up after listening to Joe just preach eternal optimism here?
Start planning the parade.
You
Absolutely.
create your reality.
What is this? What are you hitting here?
The soundboard.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Tony, good luck following that up, Tony.
Yeah, I don't think I have the same amount of stats to back up my claim as Joe. And it might not be as bold, but I think Jalen Naylor's a guy that I could see breaking out a little bit this year. There's kind of an opportunity early in the season with Addison banged up and Hawkinson still returning from his injury. And with KJ Osborne now on the Patriots, that wide receiver 3 role is wide open. And I think he has multiple 100-yard receiving yard games this year. I think we might see once or twice that he breaks out for a big game, end up with around maybe 500-600 yards for the season. And I think he kind of emerges as that, solidifies himself as the wide receiver three. I really liked him at Michigan State, watched him a lot when he was in the Big Ten. And I think he kind of can get that year three breakout in this Vikings offense with Sam Darnold this year.
Yeah, I'll follow up on that. I think that's a great call. I think he has established himself as wide receiver 3 in this offense, and he might start the season wide receiver 2 if Addison's ankle isn't up to snuff on September 8th against the Giants. But I was going to go with a Naylor bold prediction as well, so let's combine them here. But I was going to say Jalen Naylor's going to be top 10 in the NFL in 40-plus yard catches. I don't think this is crazy. Justin Jefferson calls him speedy, right? He's got a ton of wheels. He should have plenty of one-on-one opportunities to get open. And Sam Darnold's been throwing a beautiful deep ball. Will, you've talked about it. Everybody at training camp and who's watched the preseason has said the same thing. Last year, guess who led the NFL in 40-yard receptions? Any guesses?
KJ Osborne.
No.
Jordan Addison?
No. Tyreek Hill. He had none.
Tyreek
Come on,
Hill,
guys. Come on, guys. Amateur hour.
I thought it was a trick question.
I kind of set it up that way. But he had 9 last year. There were only 8 receivers that had more than 5. Think about that. That's crazy. Nico Collins is one of them with 5. I think Jalen Naylor could get 5 40-yard bombs this year and explode onto that scene. Justin Jefferson, he had 25 20-plus yard catches last year, which was crazy considering he led the NFL with 28 20-plus yard catches the year before in his Offensive Player of the Year season. So Jefferson's going to open it up. Jordan Addison's going to open it up. Hawkinson's coming back. He's going to open it up. That leaves speedy Jalen Naylor on the outside for a bunch of big gains this year.
I like the Naylor angle. He's been really just flashing kind of every day here in training camp, and I like the deep balls idea too, because Sam Darnold wants to throw the deep ball, and Justin Jefferson will be on the receiving end of a lot of those, but he's going to get a lot of attention as well. I'm tempted to counter the optimism and do some negative bold prediction, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to have some good purple rose-colored glasses here for this bold prediction session. I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball and say that the Vikings are going to be a top 6 defense this year by DVOA. Last year, they were 11th in DVOA, which was a big jump from the Ed Donatel season in just year 1 under Brian Flores. And to me, you just look around at all 3 levels, and there are proven playmakers who have a lot of experience in this league. The Vikings just added Stephon Gilmore to their secondary. In Gilmore and Harrison Smith, they've got 2 of the longest tenured defensive backs in the entire league, maybe the 2 longest tenured defensive backs in the entire league, both coming out of the 2012 draft. And then, I mean, the Vikings have 3 safeties that they really like. Josh Metellus can do a lot of different things. They added Blake Cashman with Ivan Pace Jr. at the middle linebacker position. And then the front, I mean, you lose Danielle Hunter, which is why this is a bold prediction that they're going to go into the top 6 in DVOA. But I think they can almost replace Danielle Hunter in the aggregate by adding Jonathan Grenard, who was really good last year, adding Andrew Van Ginkel, who was really good and has experience in Brian Flores' system, drafting Dallas Turner, who has really, to me, looked the part of a future star during this training camp and during his limited preseason reps against the Raiders. So defensive tackle is still a question. I think cornerback depth is still a little bit of question. If Gilmore or Byron Murphy or Shaq Griffin, if they were to miss time, then you're suddenly talking about playing a Caleb Evans or somebody like that. But I just think year 2 of Brian Flores, everybody getting more comfortable, some of the pieces they've added, I think this could be one of the best defenses in the league. And on that note, I'm going to let you guys continue, but I'm going to hop out and go watch some Vikings practice here. So look for the takeaways on si.com/NFL/Vikings.
One more bit for you, Will, right here. This is for you.
Yeah, okay.
We fear a suck-it sandwich.
I don't know what that said, but here to try this one.
You are a badass.
Thank you, Oprah. That's right.
What is the sound bar? Will's got real work to do, so there's his second prediction. Who's next? Joe, you want to go for your second one?
Yeah, you know what? He said he was going to go all rose-colored glasses, but I'm going to spin it here because in this business, you have to give yourself a chance to be a genius. So I've already gone with the big angle of 12 wins, real contender in the NFC. Let's flip it to the other side, because a bold prediction that I think might actually be more likely is that the Vikings finish with like 3 or 4 wins and get the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. And here's why: because they are so thin in so many places that it literally feels like they're walking on thin ice, right? Like they're just going to fall through and nobody's going to come and rescue them. I put down a list of a bunch of reasons. I got like 8 reasons why it feels like they're clinging to hope at too many positions. Quarterback, Sam Darnold. If he gets hurt, they're dead. It's over. The season's over. We already had the experience last year with Nick Mullins. And if you have Nick Mullins or Jaron Hall or Matt Corral or whoever they might bring in at some point this year, you're dead, unless it's Tom Brady. You're dead. You really are dead. And the earlier it happens, if it happens, you're very dead. Wide receiver, you lose Jefferson or Addison, big trouble once again. Tight end, you're already in trouble with Hawkinson. Darren Wolfson from KSTP was saying earlier today on Score North that, hey, it sounds like probably after the bye week in week 6, that would be October 20th against the Lions, is probably a fair estimate for when Hawkinson comes back from his knee injury. It's only been 8 months. ACLs are typically 12. How fast can he get back? Can he be at the Adrian Peterson speed, the timeline of 9 months? We'll find out, but it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. Any starter goes down on the offensive line, you're screwed. Take a massive step back. You have Walter Rouse and David Quessenberry as your backup tackles. Unless they just shine as a rookie, Walter Rouse, you're looking at a problem there. The D-line is probably unproven across the front outside of Harrison Phillips, and Harrison Phillips is not Aaron Darnold. You're in trouble there. What happens if you lose an interior linebacker, Ivan Pace Jr. or Blake Cashman? I'll tell you what. You get Brian Asamoah or Camu Grugier-Hill. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. I literally had to look up the depth chart to see who the backup inside linebackers were outside of Asamoah. It's not good. And then if you lose Stephon Gilmore on the outside, the DB room is sketchy unless Dwight McLaughlin is, a UDFA superstar like Pace. It sounds like he might be, but we don't know. And usually cornerbacks take 2-3 years to be groomed properly into the NFL and succeed. Really, you have safeties and edge rushers. Those are the only position groups on this roster where you can feel really pretty comfortable with the depth. So if you lose anybody at any of these positions, or God forbid, multiple starters, you're spiraling down the toilet drain faster than you can imagine, and it's going to be a very long 3-4 months.
I did not expect the ultimate hedging of the bets here from Joe Nelson today. First goes with 12 wins, top 3 seed in the NFC, and then they're gonna have the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. I did not expect this, Tony.
When you're wearing a Case Keenum practice worn Houston Cougars jersey, and yes, it's real. His name is on the back and it's all torn up because this was on his shoulders at one point. You go up and you go down. You ride that man quarterback roller coaster.
Those are big shoulders to fill, Joe.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to do it. There's no Minneapolis Miracle in that bold prediction.
Tony, your second one?
Yeah, since we've kind of, I guess, taken more on the pessimistic route here, I'll go with Joe's route of that the Vikings are going to struggle this year. I think this time next year we're talking about Travis Hunter as a Minnesota Viking. And I think he'd be a very intriguing addition to the roster. It's pretty odd to talk about the NFL draft in August, but it mentioned how shallow the cornerback room is, and this year college football, Travis Hunter will be talked about a lot. Two-way player, you can play wide receiver and cornerback. We obviously don't need much help at wide receiver, but with Jordan Addison's situation being so interesting right now, maybe they could be open to adding a player like him, maybe using him on both sides of the ball. But yeah, I think he would be a really intriguing player if they do have a high draft pick to target, and I could see him going after someone like that.
Do you think that he will play both positions when he gets to the NFL? Because that's a tough ask in college football, but he does that pretty dang well. I think top 5 in both positions last year. Can he do that at the NFL level, which is a whole another beast?
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to as many experts say that he'll play wide receiver, and as many say that he'll play cornerback. Some people
Mhm.
think he's better at one, some people think he's better at the other. And I think that's a really interesting dynamic. Obviously, he's not on the Vikings yet, but I think it would be a fun storyline to talk about if they do have a high draft pick in the spring.
Who's the last true two-way player in the NFL? I mean, because obviously you have the notable ones like Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders. The only other one that came to my mind right off the bat was Champ Bailey, who
Yep,
just got inducted into the Hall of Fame recently.
that's
Who
a
was the
good one.
Patriots guy who switched over in the middle of his career? I can't remember his name. It was a guy with the Patriots, Deion Branch maybe, switched from
I think you're right. Yeah, Deion Branch went
wide
from
receiver to corner,
Yeah,
or
the
the
other
other
way
way
around.
around.
Other way around. Yeah, because he was a Super Bowl hero.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
there aren't many.
really unique thing because if the Vikings do have a high draft pick, there's obviously a very slim chance they take a quarterback next year.
Yeah, 0%.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, and the quarterbacks coming out are far less hyped than they were this previous draft. So if there are a bunch of teams that are looking at quarterbacks, let's say just the Vikings struggled or even in the top 10, I think there could be a lot of hype that they might move up and get a player like Hunter. So um, it would be an interesting thing to see. So yeah, Hunter's one of the most interesting guys I think in football right now. So it's a fun hypothetical to talk about.
I agree.
I'm excited. I want to watch this kid and see how he plays in college football and see how he performs year 2 at a Big Six school and see what he does and how his draft profile rises and see if the Vikings are interested in him coming next draft season. But as you said, Tony, a little early to start talking about that at this point. We'll get into that later on as the season goes along. Anybody else got any more before I dish out the 2 quick ones that I had?
I do not.
All right. Tony?
I just had a quick one based on Joe saying that they're going to be a top 3 seed and they're going to have 12 wins. Um, looking at their initial schedule, my I guess bold take is that they're going to start 2-1, but their loss will be to the Giants. I
Ooh.
think
Really? Okay, who do we got? Who do they got in weeks 2 and 3?
That'll set off the panic alarms if we lose to Danny Dimes.
yeah. That week one's on the road in New York, and then they got the 49ers and Texans at home. So,
Oh my God, that is bold.
um,
That's
but,
borderline insane.
Whew, that is a tough.
I think there's some interesting storylines in those games. Sam Darnold was on the 49ers last year, and personally,
Looks
I'm
like
not
Josh
a
Dobbs is
huge-
taking that starting job in San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not a huge Brock Purdy guy. I could see him taking maybe a step back this year, especially early in the year. Maybe you'll see some things that he wasn't expecting. And then in week 3, Stephon Diggs returning to Minnesota. Maybe there'll be some emotions there. Maybe he'll have a Odell Beckham style outburst on the sideline.
Well, we're going to need
Oh,
Xavier Rhodes to shut him down, I think. Unfortunately, we don't have him anymore.
We got
Yeah.
34-year-old Stephon Gilmore.
yeah,
Yeah, Stephon Gilmore versus Stephon Diggs.
yeah. I basically I think they're
Jonathan Grenard. Yeah, there's a lot of angles in that game.
yeah, I think they're a live underdog at home in both those games. I think they're going to be a live underdog in a lot of games this year. I think most of the experts will probably see them as underdogs in a lot of games. But matchups like that, I think they're going to be in those games. And week 1 on the road, new QB in New York, it's going to be a big game for New York. So maybe they drop that one and then motivated in weeks 2 and 3.
I don't think you can lose to Danny Dimes. I don't know. I mean, the
I
guy's
think the
throwing
season's over
bad
already if you
interceptions in
lose.
preseason games. It doesn't look great. Although Malik Neighbors is otherworldly. I think they're not going to be easy to beat. That's for sure.
No. That I would though say if you lose to Danny Dimes, you might as well just call the season right then and there. That's a bad loss to start off your season, especially with, as you pointed out, the 2 games coming up next. That's a rough stretch to start off with.
Oh,
All
you're
right, 2
screaming at 0-3 if you lose to Danny Dimes. Yeah.
quick ones for me. Justin Jefferson will lead the league in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns this season. He's only gone over double-digit touchdowns once this season, but with the situation the Vikings have at wide receiver right now and receiving in general, TJ Hawkinson being out for the first several weeks of the season, Sam Darnold's going to throw the ball to Justin Jefferson quite a bit, and he's going to get out to an early lead and stay there because Darnold's just going to keep targeting him throughout the season. And my second one goes along kind of with what Will Raggets was saying earlier. I think the Vikings, they're good enough on defense with second year under Flores. They'll be a top 10 defense, I think. Those are my two bold predictions for the season, boys.
Yeah, I think they're very realistic. I really do.
Yeah.
Look, but again, thin ice, man. All the pieces are there to succeed if they stay healthy. If they don't stay healthy and they lose a few starters, I mean, this thing could snowball bad, really bad.
I love how it's one or the other. There's no in between. There's no in between for Joe. It's just one or the other. It's either really good.
No gray area. No, there isn't.
Well, that's been another edition of Bring Me the Sports here on YouTube. Minnesota sports fans, hit that subscribe button. Give us a subscription and follow our videos every single day as we post them here, talking all things Minnesota sports. We'll talk to you tomorrow.